Anytime you are, Your Honor.
Call the meeting to order. Councillor Morrison is absent this evening. Any additions to the agenda? Councillor Longstaff.
Under 15 for notice of motions, I have two. If we could have 15.1 for the Community Services Advisory Board and 15.2 for the Urban Hen Program.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Duhamel.
Through Mr. Mayor, we're very pleased to have a representative from Municipal Affairs with us this evening. Kevin Miller, he's the manager of Municipal Viability, and he's here to make a presentation. We would like to move him up in the agenda to be respectful of his time and the public's time as well.
Okay, so we'll move them up once we adopt the minutes, then we'll move right there.
Yes, that'd be fantastic.
Yep. Any further additions? Can I get a motion that we accept the agenda as amended? Councillor Curry.
I'll motion that.
All those in favor? So carried. 6.0, adoption of the minutes for the regular council meeting February 24th, 2026. We've all had a chance to read it. Any error or omissions on those? Anybody notice? Seeing none, can I get a motion to accept the minutes as presented, please? Councillor Barak.
I move to accept the adoption of the minutes.
Any further questions on them? Seeing none, all those in favor? So carried. And that brings us to municipal affairs.
Thank you very much, Your Worship and members of Council, for inviting us to your meeting and for giving us this time to speak to you this evening. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional lands of the Cree, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis. We honor and respect the histories, language, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples whose presence continues to enrich our community. We recognize their stewardship of this land and commit to learning from and walking alongside Indigenous communities in the spirit of reconciliation. My name is Kevin Miller. I'm the manager of Municipal Viability. Prior to joining Municipal Affairs about 7.5 years ago, I've had the privilege of being a Chief Administrative Officer in several central and southern Alberta communities, as well as serving one term as an elected official for a municipal council myself. With me today from the Viability team is Dee DeVoe, one of our Municipal Viability advisors. Prior to joining us in Municipal Affairs, Dee has some fairly extensive experience in the northern area of Alberta, working with an urban municipality, but working also closely with her rural and other urban partners. So our Municipal Viability team deals primarily with Part 4 of the Municipal Government Act, which is supporting municipalities in general going through some sort of restructuring or some sort of change of status. So we deal in amalgamations, we deal in viability reviews, much like we're dealing with here today, and we also deal with changes of status, so villages becoming a town, town becoming a city, those types of things. Next slide, please.
He's having issues.
Our presentation today will provide you with an understanding of the viability review process and give us an opportunity to answer any of your questions. Sorry, can we get the next slide, please? We also have some interesting tech because I don't have control of the slide deck, so we'll do our best to deal with this evening. So tonight we're going to try to help you understand the viability review process and have an opportunity to answer your questions as well about the process. Our objectives for today's presentation are to provide you with an overview of the process, discuss the roles and responsibilities of municipal affairs, as well as of the town of Gibbons and of Sturgeon County. And we'll also discuss next steps, including what can be expected over the coming months. The presentation should take approximately 45 minutes. If you have any questions during the presentation, please let us know. but also in consideration of your time. If we know that there's something coming up further in the presentation this evening, we might ask you to hold that question. And there will, of course, be opportunity to answer any questions at the end of our presentation today. Next slide, please. I'd like to take a moment to explain what a viability review is. Next, at its core, a viability review is a collaborative and community-focused process which brings stakeholders together and empowers communities to make decisions about their future. Sorry, next.
Chris.
Engages the town council and administration, of both the town of Gibbons and of Sturgeon County in providing information and data to support the viability review. It includes public meetings to provide information to residents and property owners and allow them to ask questions. The viability review also provides an objective and impartial accounting of the town, focusing on several broad areas. The result of the viability review is the viability review report, which we will share with the public, and we'll talk about those areas of focus in the viability review report here shortly. After residents receive the report, electors will have the opportunity to vote on the question of dissolution, which may result in either Gibbons remaining a town and implementing changes, or potentially dissolving and becoming a hamlet in Sturgeon County. No matter whether the town votes to remain or dissolve, a viability review supports the community to move beyond the status quo to a more sustainable future. And as stewards of the process, our goal in municipal affairs' goal is to ensure electors have the information that they need to make an informed decision on the vote. Alongside being collaborative and community-focused, objective and impartial, viability reviews are also detailed and specific. Each municipality is unique, and the viability review process for this town will be conducted with the needs of the residents in this community in mind. The review is forward-thinking and solutions-focused to enable the community to be viable over the long term, either as a town or as a hamlet. Next slide, please. Under the current legislation, there are 3 ways a viability review can be initiated. A municipal council can make a request for a viability review to the Minister of Municipal Affairs. Electors of a community can submit a sufficient petition to the minister requesting at least consideration of a viability review, or a viability review can be initiated by the minister themselves if the minister believes a viability review is warranted in a particular case. As I know all of you are aware, in this particular case, the minister received a request for the expedited viability review from you as council. Next slide, please. So we mentioned briefly the viability review report. It's the final deliverable that we will share with town residents and property owners. The bulk of the information shared in the viability review report focuses on 6 core sections. In each of these sections, the report will provide a detailed overview, which includes a preamble explaining that section, information on the current state of the town, and comparative information on what the community can expect if the town remains or ends up dissolving. The information in these 6 sections comes mainly from input provided by both the town and by Sturgeon County. And where applicable, we'll also use other resources that are available to us, some of the internal ministry resources that are available, or even resources that are available at large and to the general public as well. Those sections include, the first one being about community. Community includes information about community groups and volunteerism in the community, local support for those groups, your family and community social services, and also recreation opportunities in the town. This section to us in particular highlights that even in the event that the town were to dissolve in the end, much of what makes up the community should and is expected to remain. The next topic is about governance and includes information about municipal elections, about council representation, public participation, bylaws, long-range planning, and regional collaboration, both with Sturgeon County and with other municipal partners in the area. The next section that we look at is about administration. So that includes information about the town's chief administrative officer and the staffing complement here, policies in the municipality, your municipal office and other municipal buildings, hours of operation, and how administration communicates with residents and how residents communicate and interact with your administration as well. The next thing that we look at is about finances, which is information about property taxes and property tax rates, due dates and penalties in relation to property taxes and even utility and other bills. And it will also look at the assets, the liabilities, the reserves, the cash balances, and of course the debt here in the town of Gibbons. We also look at infrastructure as part of the report, and we provide a summary of infrastructure in the town. Now, as I'm sure it's been communicated to you and as you're aware, with this expedited process that we're undertaking with this viability review, we're not including an infrastructure audit as part of the viability review itself. And so the infrastructure section will rely very heavily on the information that's available to and provided to us by the town. That being said, I do want to say out loud that the minister may consider at a future date funding that infrastructure audit as well. And the final section that we look at is about services. So this provides an overview of utility services like your water and wastewater. It will look at your solid waste disposal and any recycling services available in the town, snow clearing, road maintenance, and other similar activities. One thing to note is that the viability review does not investigate past actions. The viability review is a forward-thinking process. It's designed essentially to help the town of Gibbons, regardless of what option ends up being selected, to move forward in an effective and efficient and a legislative responsible manner that supports the sustainability of the community. Next slide, please. The information in these 6 sections will be based on the information provided by both municipalities. And as I've said before, will contain a preamble explaining each section, information on the current state of the town, comparative information on what the community can expect if the town remains or ends up dissolving, and it will also include recommended actions to be considered should the town vote to remain. The preamble mainly explains what that section is about in more general terms. The current state of the town will give an overview of how the town is currently operating, any strengths or opportunities, as well as challenges facing the community and that are currently present. Since much of this information does come from the town itself and also the county's submissions and other information that the ministry collects, this can only be as good as the information that is provided to us. And so we've asked the county and we've also asked the town to both share as much as possible to be able to help us develop that viability review report. There will also be comparisons between if Gibbons remains a town and takes action, or if the town dissolves and becomes a hamlet. These comparisons are based on an anticipation, a best guess, an understanding that future councils are not bound by the decisions of past councils, and that the town and county councils ultimately, depending on the option that is ended up chosen, would make decisions about services, infrastructure, and other matters as they may see best at the time. And those decisions may be different from what is anticipated for the report itself. And finally, the recommended actions, many of which are based on best practices to support sustainability. Historically, should Gibbons remain a town, one of the common directives would be for the town to review each and every one of the report's recommendations and provide a response on how the town would implement the recommendations, or if choosing not to implement a recommendation, why the town is choosing not to do so. You will also find in the report, it will not provide a yes or no answer to the question of viability. It won't even give pros and cons to either specific option, but it rather looks to providing factual information without opinion, as viability is ultimately dependent on what each community considers a must-have versus what may just be a nice-to-have, and determine for themselves the value and what they're willing to pay to have those nice-to-haves. Electors must use the information provided in the eventual viability review report and make their own decisions on which option they consider best for the future of the community. If you want an example of what this viability review report may end up looking like, we do have many of our past viability review reports on the alberta.ca website under viability reviews for municipalities. So you're obviously welcome to go at any time and review some of those past reports, and the public is of course welcome to as well, which will give you some of the ideas of what you can expect to see in that report once it's completed and released. Next slide, please. So, with the 2 options available, the first obviously is for the town to remain and to take actions to ensure viability. If the majority of electors choose this option, there are a few things that the municipality may expect. The minister may issue directives based on the information in the report, These directives are actions that the town must take within a set time period. We'll talk about what the directives may look like on the next slide. Once the minister issues directives through a ministerial order, ministry staff will deliver a presentation to the council and review the directives and expectations. That presentation would be much like this presentation here this evening, diving into what the directives specifically require and answering any questions of council and administration. As part of the directives, the minister is likely to require the town to submit an annual update report on the municipality's actions to meet those directives to the ministry for at least a period of 5 years. Finally, during that 5-year period, ministry staff will always remain available to support the town in meeting the directives. We'll help in answering any questions that you might have, supporting the development of your submissions, and providing available resources whenever needed. The next option that would be to dissolve and become a hamlet in the neighboring municipality, in this case obviously Sturgeon County. Dissolution is the process where an existing municipality is no longer an independent entity and becomes a hamlet in that neighboring municipality. In the province of Alberta, for dissolution to even be considered, a viability review must be completed and a vote of the electors on the question of dissolution must be held. If town electors vote to dissolve and become a hamlet in the county, the ministry would be available to support both the town and the county during the transitory period. This would include supporting the county with funding and grant applications, which we'll discuss in a moment, as well as ensuring that the town is prepared for dissolution. Next slide, please. As promised, let's take a look a little bit at what the intent of the directives. Directives are meant to support the long-term viability of the town, with the expectation that changes are needed to ensure the municipality's viability and its future sustainability. These directives historically have directed the municipality to create an action plan that addresses the recommendations included in the viability review report, as well as a long-range capital plan based on the information available to the town, and perhaps, again, with the approval of the minister, potentially an infrastructure audit as well being available at that point in time. Next, some may be mandatory in those recommendations, and they would be indicated by the municipality must, while others would be strongly suggested by the municipality should consider. When it comes to the ones that are should consider, if the municipality were to choose not to move forward with those recommendations or any individual recommendation, the council would be required to provide the ministry with a strong rationale as to why that recommendation would not be appropriate for the town. Since these recommendations are drafted to support viability and move the town towards sustainability, many of those recommendations will be unique to the town's current circumstances, while others will be best practices and be a little bit more general in nature. Again, if you're interested in looking what some of those recommendations may look like, we would point you again to some of those past reports, and there are recommendations contained in all of them. Next slide, please. So to talk a little bit about funding, there is funding available as part of the viability review process. We've talked a little, the minister, under his consideration, may provide funding for an infrastructure audit at a future date. If the town were to vote to dissolve, Sturgeon County would also be able to access funding through the Alberta Community Partnership post-restructuring streams, pending, of course, the approval of the minister in those cases. Under the Alberta Community Partnership transitional stream, the county would have access to funding intended to support transitional activities, with some examples being legal and legislative costs, such as land title fees, a boundary review, or reviewing contracts, bylaws, or policies. Integration or migration of administrative systems, such as accounting systems, financial assessment, communication, or records management, or even community engagement following that restructuring. That funding has a base amount of $200,000 plus $500 per capita to a maximum of 500 persons, or in this case it would be approximately $450,000. The county would also be able to access funding through the Alberta Community Partnership infrastructure stream. This funding is intended to ensure that critical infrastructure projects can continue until the new hamlet would be integrated into the county's long-range capital plans. The stream's funding has a base amount of $750,000 plus $1,500 per capita to a maximum, again, of 500 persons, or in the case of this particular instance, of approximately $1.5 million. Additionally, if a municipality were to dissolve under the current local government fiscal framework program, the receiving municipality, so Sturgeon County, would receive LGFF funding equivalent to the amount that would have been allocated to the town if the town did not dissolve. They would also receive their LGFF allocations as if the town did not dissolve, and that would be for the year in which the restructuring were to occur, and would apply for the next 5 sequential years. After that, then the LGFF formulas just move as if it's one single municipality and based on those populations. Also, if there was any unspent LGFF funding still available and had been unused here in the town of Gibbons, in general, it is anticipated that that would be transferred then to Sturgeon County in this case as well, just to help provide for that continued infrastructure funding here in the town. Next slide, please. So viability reviews are a legislative process, and within that framework, the ministry has developed an overarching path when it comes to viability reviews. As we stated, and as you're well aware, the town's viability review was initiated by council request and was approved by the minister on February the 4th of 2026. We started working with the town and internally as well to schedule the initial public information session, which is tomorrow night, March 11th, where we will introduce the viability review to the town residents as well. You are of course welcome to attend to hear the presentations and the questions that are coming from the public. Once the report is completed and distributed, the ministry will organize a pre-vote public information session that will review the report and also provide information to residents, property owners, and primarily electors about the vote on the question of dissolution. Depending on the results of that vote, the minister may either issue viability directives based on the recommendations in the report or recommend dissolution of the town to cabinet. Next slide, please. The viability review itself is a ministry-led process to ensure residents are informed and prepared prior to that vote of the electors. So Municipal Affairs leads the viability review process from beginning to end. We are responsible for informing residents and electors of public engagement events and opportunities through letters, through advertising, and through our ministry website at alberta.ca. Hosting any engagement sessions as well are our responsibility, where residents can ask questions and learn about the review and the viability review process. We develop the viability review report, and we are also responsible for conducting the vote of electors. So we will have a returning officer and deputy returning officers that will come and take care of the vote as well. While the ministry does much of the work that makes up the viability review process, the town and county also both play important roles in the review. Both the town and county will provide information about municipal operations, services, governance, and administration to the ministry, and in fact that process has already begun. And we also may make requests to either Gibbons or Sturgeon County to assist the ministry to promote participation and when those public engagement opportunities will be available. Next slide, please. So let's take an opportunity to review some of the next steps. As kind of mentioned, we've been busy since the viability review was initiated, starting to collect initial information and preparing for the upcoming public information session. As mentioned a few times, we'll be hosting that initial public information session tomorrow evening, March 11th, 7 p.m. at the Gibbons Community Cultural Center. This is the ministry's opportunity to introduce the viability review to the residents and give them an opportunity to ask questions. You are more than welcome, and of course, and encouraged to attend as a resident of the community, but we wouldn't be looking to you to engage as a member of council. We won't be asking you to answer any questions during the meeting. It is for the information of the residents of the town of Gibbons. We won't put anybody on the spot at any point in time tomorrow evening. Next, we're also working with both administrations right now to collect information. So we've provided what we consider our viability review workbooks to both the town administration and county administration. And I know that both parties are already starting to compile the information together that we will use to put together the viability review report. From the town, we're really looking to capture information on current operations, processes, and policies. We're looking to capture what challenges, concerns, or even misunderstandings may be present in the town. And finally, we're looking for support to provide that financial picture for residents for the future. From the county, we look for information about operations and administration and how things might look like should the town end up becoming a hamlet in Sturgeon County, about what those operations and administration may look like. We also know that the county may have some additional insight on the region, so if they have any ability to provide any additional opportunities or ideas, we obviously welcome that in terms of the submission that they provide us as well. Next. Residents may have questions about the viability review process, and if and when they do, we would ask that those questions be directed to us at Municipal Affairs. We're available to answer questions and ensure all stakeholders have consistent information as much as they need to understand the process. Our contact information is on the last slide of this presentation this evening, and I know administration also has our contact information, so please feel free to share that in the community as well. Next, please. So following the report writing, we will be delivering that to the public through a mail out, similar to the way that we informed residents of the commencement of the viability review process itself already. Following that as well, there will be the elector vote on the question of dissolution. At the conclusion of that vote, and depending on the results of that, next please. The minister will make a decision whether that is to issue directives to the municipality to help ensure that viability and sustainability going forward, or the minister would make a recommendation to cabinet for the dissolution of the town. Next. And finally, the ultimate decision on a question of dissolution itself, if the minister were to recommend dissolution, goes to cabinet. So cabinet is the ultimate decision maker when it comes to whether or not a municipality is dissolved in the end. Next. And that brings us to the end of our presentation this evening, but also we are, of course, more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Just push your buttons.
It doesn't like me. Oh, is it off? Thank you. Is it me? What? I have a few questions. So will the, I think you called it a town hall tomorrow, will that be live streamed?
It will not be live streamed tomorrow. The slide deck will be available on the Alberta, the presentation tomorrow will not be live streamed. However, the slide deck will be available on the alberta.ca website in the days following that presentation.
Okay. I had questions because we had a legislative compliance review done. Will that be utilized in what you're doing? Some of those pieces seem to overlap.
If there was information in that report, considering that that is a public-facing document as well at this particular point in time, I know it is on the Town of Gibbons website as well. We may look to that for information to help support the viability review report itself. It will not look the same though, obviously. The recommendations and such will be entirely different just because of the different natures of those two different processes.
I'm just wondering if you've looked at that at this juncture and to see, like, did it give any insight as to what we're dealing with?
So not only did I look at that report, but I was actually a member of the accountability team when that report was delivered to council last year. So I was actually present in this council chambers with the presentation of that report. I haven't re-gone through that report at this exact point in time, just because I'm not at the point where I'm even remotely beginning to write the viability review report itself, but it will be something that I will review as part of this process.
Okay, and I guess
Okay.
I'm just wondering, who pays for this process? Like you said, will there be surveys sent out and tabulated? Because I know we had previously sent one out. And who pays for that process and the vote and whatever else? Because we don't have a lot of money.
So we will be looking to collect actually the survey results from the Town of Gibbons, because I know that those questions are very, very similar to what we would normally do as part of a survey as well. When it comes to any of the other costs, so the hall rental for tomorrow evening is paid for by Municipal Affairs. The vote itself is paid, we bear the costs of the viability review itself. There was no expectation for the town to cover costs related to the review.
Thank you.
Councilor Brack.
As far as the viability review, once that comes in, what's the, I guess, the expected date to have that done? Because I think that's, you're looking for a vote for June 11th or whatever it is.
Close. So our hope and anticipation is to be delivering the viability review report, and this will be mailed out to all residents and all property owners, the same as the initial letter. We are anticipating that for either very, very late in May or very, very early in June. The pre-vote public information session, we are currently targeting for, I'm going to say, early to middle of June. And the vote of the electors is being targeted for the end of June, so prior to the summer holiday season for everybody, and to ensure that the most people are around to be able to cast their ballot on that question of dissolution.
So if it's out, let's say, end of May, and as you guys are going through it and you have questions, I guess my question is in regards, because the infrastructure is not included. At what point would you guys look at saying we need to go a little deeper here and then look at the infrastructure? And if that is the case, what's the added timeline or time frame to do that?
Unfortunately, I don't really have an answer for you at this particular point in time. The main reason that an infrastructure audit was not included in this process is specifically because of the incredibly expedited timeline that we are doing this viability review on. For people's information, a normal viability review will take us 12 to 18 months to complete. We're doing this in 5. So we are investing a lot of resources in the ministry as well to be able to accomplish this in such a short time frame. But unfortunately then, especially considering that the ground is frozen, being able to get in and do that infrastructure audit at this point in time, there's no way that we would get that information back in a time frame that will allow us to inform the viability review report itself. That being said, with the minister's, of course, approval and consideration, it would not surprise me if an infrastructure audit does ends up being done at some point in time in this process. I just don't know exactly when that may be considered. And again, of course, everything is always to the approval of the minister, so I cannot speak on his behalf in any way, shape, or form about how his decisions may be.
Thank you.
Yeah, just getting back to infrastructure, I know that Sturgeon County had mentioned that they were concerned in regard to not having that aspect done, and they had mentioned something about some extra time needed to do that. Now, I don't know if that question came up today when you met with them today.
The infrastructure audit is definitely still a concern of Sturgeon County, and we recognize that concern. We understand, this is a normal part of our process, and it's because of this expedited that we're having to go without it. Now, that being said, any information that the town already has to any prior studies that may be done, any information that the town has whatsoever, we want to see as much of it as possible to try to inform this report as much as conceivably possible. That being said, though, again, it would not surprise me if there may be an infrastructure audit in the future, but I can't predict the timeline or the decisions of the minister.
What do the businesses in town play any factor in the vote or process?
So to cast a ballot in the eventual question on dissolution, much like when it comes to voting in yourselves as town council, it's based on the definition of elector in the Local Authorities Elections Act. So that's a Canadian citizen, at least 18 years of age or older, and a resident of the town of Gibbons itself, and resident being very specific. So somebody that only owns property here in the town of Gibbons would not be able to cast a vote in that election.
Okay, my only other question that I have is the possibility or the availability of absentee voting. Is that a possibility?
There will be voting by special ballot available for those that are unable to vote on election day. And actually our normal processes when it comes to a viability a viability vote is to conduct that over 2 consecutive days, not a single. So we do one day during the daytime and we do one also in the evening. to help support the most number of electors to be able to be available and to cast that ballot. But yes, special ballots will be available, and there will be information on that process available in the package, including the viability review report that we anticipate in late May or early June.
Okay, I think that's all that I have. Any? Councilor Gray?
With you guys covering like the cost of everything tomorrow, and I know this is something that everyone else is probably wondering, what kind of sandwiches are going to be at the?
So I'm assuming that many of you also saw the budget presentation from the government of Alberta a matter of a few days ago. So in that particular vein, and recognizing as well with the province of Alberta, while we will have wonderful bottles of water available for residents should they become thirsty, I cannot promise any sandwiches or other munchies available at that session tomorrow.
Okay, fair enough.
I guess just one, and I don't know if you can be answered here or not. Should dissolve take place, what kind of, can you answer the question, the number of representatives the town may have on Sturgeon County Council? Is there a set number, or?
At this point in time, I cannot say with any certainty what that might look like. Those are ultimately, in a lot of cases, cabinet decisions as well when it comes to, in the event of dissolution, the order in council that actually dissolves the municipality itself. So I'm sure many, many factors will be taken into account, but I do not know at this point in time what that representation would exactly look like.
Excellent, thanks. Councillor St. Germain, any more?
I'll keep it for now.
You're
I'll
good?
ask him tomorrow.
Councillor Longstaff, anything? No? That's all the questions that we have, I guess. You don't have anything? No?
Well then, thank you so much for your time here this evening, and we look forward to doing the public presentation tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, I guess, 7.1, accounts paid as of March the 4th, 2020.
Excuse me, Your Honor, can we please get a motion to accept the presentation?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion that we accept the municipal affairs presentation as information, please? Councillor Simonowitz.
I so move that we accept the presentation.
All those in favor? So carried. 7.1, accounts paid as of March the 4th, 2026. Yep.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just one note I wanted to make on this was all of the transactions on February 20th were in the last agenda package report, so the only new transactions are the two at the bottom dated for March 2nd.
Excellent, thank you. Do we have any questions for him? Seeing none, can I get a motion that we accept the accounts paid as information, please?
I'll make that motion.
All those in favor? So carried. 7.2, loans to local authorities refinance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we worked quite heavily with the Loans to Local Authorities group, which is I guess a branch of the provincial government, I'll call them. They used to be called the Alberta Capital Finance Authority, but they rebranded and redid a bunch of their stuff. So it's called Loans to Local Authorities now. One of the big pieces that we had worked on with them was trying to identify opportunities to reduce the debt servicing requirements for the town in order to help balance the budget and realistically implement a long-term financial plan. So they came to the table quite handily, provided us with a bunch of options of which I'm going to make a recommendation on, but at a high level, there's one loan that matures in 2025, so we have payments on June 16th and December 16th, I believe, and then that loan is completely done. So We look to include that and keep that as normal, but then the remainder of the loans, we look to do a refinance over a period of time to help manage the payments from there. So it was really awesome, all the stuff that they came to the table with. Really, really glad that, you know, they went out of their way to do this. So I guess the two options that they did, basically there was refinance date as of June 30th or refinance date as of December 31st. Now obviously if we do the refinance as of December 31st, it results in increased interest. So my recommendation is to do it as of June 30th. Just gets it in the works earlier, gets it done and taken care of. And what it does then is it allows us to pick our amortization period, so the period over which we pay back the loan. In this case, if you look at, I don't have the page numbers, but it was the payment schedule, the first option, refinance date's wrong, but the first payment schedule, so after the debenture listing, it shows option 1, and my recommendation on this was to take a 15-year amortization period for those loans, both because it stretches the period out but not significantly, and also allows us to, in essence, bring in the payments in a phase structure. One note on this too is they did come to the table and offer the first 3 years worth of payments as interest-only payments too. So that helps us to reintroduce the loan payments kind of gradually into the budget and the long-term plan accordingly. I don't think there's really anything else I had to highlight in there. If anyone's got any questions on the different options, or if the council has a different perspective or wants to consider a different amortization period or a different option, please let me know. But just looking for the approval to take the steps to do the refinance and draft a letter that will be signed and sent over to the local authorities group so we can get the process in the works.
Any questions?
Real quick, just before you guys talk,
Yep.
there's for to note as well, for the 2026 budget year, this would result in a operating expenditure reduction for the year of $883,000 and some change. So very, very awesome opportunity that they provided to us.
How much was that for them?
883,000. Towards the bottom of the first page of the RFP.
And their recommendation is the 15-year term, right?
Correct.
Amortization. Okay. Any questions for Ryan on that regard? We kind of all had an opportunity to review it. Makes sense to me if we can buy some time here. Tim?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. One thing, again, because this council wants to be incredibly transparent with the public, I think it is important to note that when we negotiate these type of opportunities with the province, that $800,000 is equivalent to approximately 25% tax dollar change in the budget for 2026. And so, again, this council is very adamant that we develop solutions. This is one of many that will be coming. But again, I just kind of want to put in terms that, again, our public can understand very strongly.
So this particular loan, the total is currently at $6.3 million change, is that correct?
That's right. There's about, I believe, 5 different debentures that are going to be refinanced. I think there was 6 in total. One of them will maintain, and then the other 5 we'll look at doing the refinance for.
Okay, and all 5 are total of $6 million altogether?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that clears that up then. Any further questions? Councilor St. Germain?
So the one that you said isn't included, that's the one you spoke of earlier, that's gonna come,
Correct. Those payments would maintain. They're $75,000 each, one in June, one in December, and then that debenture would be completely finished. So rather than refinance that portion and stretch out and pay more interest, we just thought keep it there and we'll handle it from there.
perfect, thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, can I get a motion that council authorize the refinance of the loan to local authorities to debentures numbered 400 2622, 400-2308, 400-4158, 400-4230, 400-0480 to be refinanced as of June 30th, 2026 with a 15-year amortization period. Councillor Brack.
Motion that council authorizes refinance of loans to local authorities to debentures numbered 400-2622, 400-2308, 400-4158, 400-4230, 400-0480 to be refinanced as of June 30th, 2026 with a 15-year amortization period.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? So carried. Financial policy framework, support long-term financial plan.
Through Mr. Mayor, I'm pleased to present this. One of the things that, again, council has been very, very clear with us from the very beginning of our engagement is that you want to be incredibly transparent with your public. You want us to develop strong solutions in relationship to budgetary concerns and challenges and issues that were maybe created from past decisions. And probably most importantly, is creating a framework for strong oversight by this council, and again, transparency with the public going forward. So as we develop solutions, they're not being done in basically isolation of the public awareness, and also creating corrective actions that will last not just tomorrow, but long into the future, so that again, the strength of oversight of council becomes something that becomes a big part of our culture and our processes going forward, so we don't run into a situation like we have again. And so I want, again, the last council meeting, we presented a report that identified a number of service level adjustments, and we've been working on that under council's direction over the last couple of weeks, and we will soon be presenting that in accordance with the budget. But also, that's congruent with that is again the development of policy. And again, policy is the realm of council, and so this is where you lead and where you create, again, the opportunity for oversight, so that again, we don't run into the problems that we have, again, that we have now. So what we wanted to do is bring up a report to identify that, and again, so the public are aware that we're not just developing financial solutions, we're developing policy and procedures that, again, that will strengthen the financial sustainability of this town in both the short term and the long term. And so it's very important to know. The other thing, again, very important to the public is that the solutions that we're developing are, again, short-term in nature now, but we're also looking at these things in, again, the realm of a long-term financial plan, so that the solutions that we're employing today will start to percolate and support the future. And so, again, not doing things that are short-term in nature and making kind of knee-jerk kind of decisions, but really taking a look at the future of the town. So again, because of the direction we've received from council, we're looking at financial solutions that will support budgetary change, but also financial solutions that will help develop, again, sustainability in the long term. And again, that always begins with council policy and council direction in relationship to how you think we should be running the town's finances. I think the important thing, and again, I have no problem stating this, again, being very transparent with the public, our initial numbers show, again, and again, great work that's been done by Ryan and Jody and the team. And again, an individual I'm going to be introducing to you later that's also part of the Bloom team. We are looking at probably a 10 to 15 year runway to get us to where we're in a good place. But that said, the solutions that we're starting to develop within the budget and our policy framework are solutions that will help support this town in the very near future to getting into a very good place. And again, council's been very clear with us. You don't want to just fix the situation. You want Gibbons to be in a better situation than it's ever been. And so our goal right now is developing a plan that not only solves the issue, but strengthens Gibbons going forward, so that we become not just a solution-based municipality, but we become a leader in this region and support this town in relationship to its long-term strategic goals. So we're going to get there. So that said, I want to give some background about why I want to bring this report forward, and that we are starting the development of policy. And there's a few policies that I think that are important to note. And the policies areas that we've identified that we want to hit first, because again, they're very important in relationship to control and overcoming some of the issues that we're facing today, is we want to get council's direction in relationship to the work developing a strong procurement policy, so that decisions made in relationship to spending and how we make decisions going forward are very much under the oversight of this council and then ultimately the public. And so we develop policies like of this nature for other clients, and so this is something that we believe should be incorporated in the long-term financial plan and the budget process this year. We also want to look at a debt management policy that will be incorporated into the decisions that we make in relationship to the budget. And the reason being is that we are currently at the maximum of our debt. And some of that is, and again, we've been very clear, some of it is what I call bad debt, $6 million of approximately operating debt. That is, I would never recommend any municipality take on operating in debt. And so we're looking at, as we develop solutions, bringing forward policy for council consideration that would begin to solve our debt issues in, again, the short and the long term. And again, put some controls in place so that, again, the administration, whether it be us or anybody else, can never make the kind of decisions that were made here again. The third one that we think that should be expedited is what we call, and again, my apologies to Harold if he's on, because we had a discussion, our official administrator, again, who's helping us quite a bit, is what would be considered a restricted, unrestricted surplus policy. Also known in the old days, because I'm an old guy, a reserve policy. And this is basically, again, the rainy day funds, the funds that are set up that help support us in both, again, the short term and long into the future. And again, I have no problem stating that as it is today, the reason why we're here is we have essentially no reserves or financial capacity in any way, shape, or form. Not acceptable. And so again, this starts with good policy and good long-term financial planning. And so we are recommending, as we develop this budget, and in accordance with the long-term financial plan, that we develop and look at a long-term restricted, unrestricted surplus policy. I put an example in the package for you. We're not going to go over it in any detail. We're not going to go over it at all. And I see some, thank goodness, from the council. I know some of my reports are quite wordy, and I apologize for that. But I provide you with an example of something we wrote, and it's a very strong policy. It's actually from even my Strathcona County days, because again, we put a lot of work into policy back in the day, and some of them are still very valid, and I think this one has some validity for the town. Now, we need to make it your policy, but again, it's an example to me of the type of policies that we need to put in place to, again, ensure that the town's finances are safe. So those are the three policies that we would like to look at. There are other ones, of course, that are important, and there's probably a list of at least 10 or 15 financial policies that we would be recommending that we start developing. But policies take time, and they're a lot of work. And so the three that I've recommended are the ones that we're going to probably be looking at incorporating in this year's budget. Others are things like investment policy, sales spending authority, budgetary policies. We will be making recommendations after the budget process on others, but these are the three that we would be looking at. And so with that, I just wanted to again bring this up because again, we're going to be rolling out a lot of solutions over the next month. We want to make sure that the public are aware that we're not making short-term decisions. We're doing it again in congruence with policy reviews, but we'll be kind of doing this in parallel and bringing a lot up. And again, there's a cap. I think that I'm just kidding. That's part of the policy discussions. But letting the public know that we are looking at again doing things right. I think that's the important message of this report. And so with that, we would like to hear council's thoughts and answer any questions you may have. And we're really looking for your strong direction in relationship to what policies you think are important. And if there's any kind of low-hanging fruit or issues you have with the way policies have been treated with the town in the past. And so we're looking for your direction. Thank you.
One of the questions I have, of the policies that you mentioned, the three, the procurement, debt, and reserve and unrestricted reserve, is there one in there that's specific, that's perhaps a higher priority than the other ones that we should focus on now, or is it focusing on the three main ones?
For me, one of the key things that we have found in our review is we want to make sure that there's very strong controls on spending. and oversight, and making sure that proper reporting is done and council is aware and the public are aware of the decisions we're making. So we think procurement policies, spending policies, procurement can tie into the way that we spend, the way we make decisions. Proper choosing of consultants, proper decisions around development, what it might be, can tie to procurement. We think that's the number one, for sure. And data management and the reserves are simply because we're at the maximum of our debt.
Yeah,
we're out of reserves, and so those would be longer term. But if there's one that I think would be key for oversight, it's the procurement and spending policies.
Okay, agreed there, yeah, for sure. Any other questions? Councilor St. Germain?
I'm just wondering if part of the CO spending authority policy, would the subdivision authority be included in that one as well? Just because I know in the previous bylaw, I believe that the CAO was the subdivision authority.
So speaking legislatively, the CAO is no longer the subdivision authority. We have the Municipal Planning Commission now. And so 3 members of council sit on that, and the CAO no longer has the authority to be the subdivision authority. All he is now the development officer and can only operate within the confines of the bylaw. And discretionary use is what goes forward to the Municipal Planning Commission for their decision.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Thank you for the answer. We're making changes, as you can see, but now to make sure that, again, there's no ability for a CAO to make decisions without it having oversight and proper control.
Thank you very much for making those changes, I appreciate it.
Councilor Brock, any questions? No? You're good? Good? Good. Alrighty. Can I get a motion that council accept this report of information and provide administration with feedback regarding financial policies to be incorporated into the town's long-term financial plan? And I think we're in agreement that the 4 that were mentioned are the key ones going forward. Definitely the procurement one, we want to make sure we got that well under control so we don't wind up going backwards. Councilor Longstaff?
I'll make that motion.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? So carried. 7.4, 2026 operating and capital budget scheduling and public transparency.
Through Mr. Mayor, part of this report is going to talk about dates, and I just want to make sure that we're clear because of budgetary issues. We're not going to have sandwiches for Councillor Curry, but I do have, I think, a half-eaten pepperoni stick under my seat of my car I could find for you if you're really hungry. All kidding aside, to me this report's very important, again, because of the want for transparency. And so some of these reports are being brought forward to inform council, to get council's direction, but to also, again, very publicly let the public or make the public aware of the work that we're doing and make them aware of the dates that we're working towards. And so from this perspective, we're right now looking at developing, again, the operating and capital budget in accordance with service level reductions and adjustments that council directed us to, and in accordance with the policy work that we talked about. But we want to make sure, again, that because of the want to ensure transparency and again, with the public, we want them to be aware that these meetings are going to be very open. And so we're not going to be discussing budget in private. We're not going to be, although there are things that have to be discussed in private because of legal ramifications, we're going to be very much in accordance with legislation and making sure that these meetings are very, very open to the public, and our discussions are going to be very open as well in terms of the decisions that we're making. And so again, the budget process is aiming to restore financial sustainability, but it's also aimed to restore public trust to an extent. And again, I can't stress enough that this council has been very strong in their direction to us in that regard. And so this report is trying to, again, support basically council's want by making the public aware of the dates and making sure that we are providing ample opportunity for open discussions during budget. And so during these discussions, we're going to be, again, openly discussing our service level adjustments, the financial controls that we're going to be working at putting in place in relationship to the policies and financial procedures that we're going to be working on as we develop the budget, and some of the improvements that we're going to be making. And again, we're going to have these discussions again in completely unvarnished open sessions so the public are aware of what we're doing. That said, budget sometimes takes time. And so we are asking for a special meeting. We've asked, I think it's scheduled a special meeting, I believe, for the 23rd of March. March. Yeah. If it's May, we're in trouble.
Yes, you're right, March. May.
So March 23rd will be our open budget session. My experience is that sometimes we can get through budget very quickly depending on our recommendations. But I always say that during a budget session, we also will get back updates just in case council wants to have more time. And if there's things that council asks us to go back on and again sharpen our pencils on. And so we're going to try and look for some additional times and dates before we have the operating and capital budget approval. So again, just kind of making that transparent. The other thing that we're recommending, I think maybe we go to the next slide. Maybe not. I'm not sure if I put something in. Yeah. The other thing that we'd like to look at is again, we're going to have follow-up discussion and possibly approval of the budget on the 24th, depending on council debate and discussion of where we want to go. But one of the things that we'd like to ask tonight also is council's feedback on our recommendation to have a public town hall. We've had 2 town halls, I think, that have been very successful. Those have been, basically with the intent to make the public aware of our situation and to be able to provide and ask questions. We think, again, that it would serve transparency that after we're done the budget, that we also present the budget in a town hall setting and provide an opportunity for the public to ask questions again. So this is something that's different. Again, as a budget guy, which I often call myself, it's not often that we've done this, but I think in our current situation, I think it would be prudent to provide the public with an opportunity to engage on the budget process. So we're asking for your thoughts on basically our ability to create a few dates that would allow us to have a verbose and very public setting for budget. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I just again want to be transparent in terms of what we're doing for budget process.
Excellent, thanks. Questions? No?
No?
So the 23rd, the special council meeting, that's our first kick at the cat, so to speak, in regards to seeing what we're gonna, some of the recommended service cuts and stuff, and for us to provide feedback in regards to that, correct?
Again, being very clear, we did a presentation on our recommended service adjustments. You gave us direction to develop scenarios based on that. That's what we've been working on. And when I say we, it's Ryan, but all kidding aside, so we're working diligently to be able to provide you with a recommended budget. So we're going to go over those on the 23rd and then ask, council's direction. Have we hit the mark? And if not, then we go back to the drawing board and we'll keep working at it. I have, and again, I can tell you this, I have had many budget meetings in my time, working as a budget lead in many municipalities where council said, no, we want to see something different, or we're not happy with the service level cuts, or we want to see more, and then we have to book additional dates and we come back. And so we want to make sure that you're aware and the public are aware that we are going to be making the recommendations on this date, but we are looking at additional dates if required.
Okay, so now that should the 23rd not be set, then the budget presentation on the 24th, it probably wouldn't happen, correct?
Yeah, we'll find additional dates.
Okay.
But we will have a budget recommendation with our recommended tax utility increase as well on that date.
Okay, thanks. Any further questions? Okay, so we're looking for 2 motions. First motion, that council call a special meeting to be held on March 23rd, 2026 at 7 p.m. For the initial presentation discussion of the draft 2026 operating and capital budget.
I'll Billy Ocean that motion.
Any questions before we go to vote? All those in favor?
Yes, I actually have a Billy Ocean. The motion is not in the legislative dictionary anywhere.
Googling what the heck that means.
I will move forward with that motion.
All those in favor? So carried. That council approve the scheduling of a public town hall meeting in April 2026 with a specific date to be determined by council for the purpose of presenting the approved 2026 budget to its residents in support of transparency and public engagement. Councilor Longstaff?
Yeah, I'll make that motion for you.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor? So carried. Alrighty. Committee reports. Councilor Smonowitz.
It's been me, I just participated in this municipal planning commission meeting tonight. That's the only one since the last council meeting.
Thank you, Councilor Barak.
If you can give me 2 seconds, skip over so I can find them.
Councilor Curry.
I'll try to speak slow, so, you know. It was, I helped out at the Gibbons School with the pierogi lunch on February 25th, and helped put out several Facebook fires.
Thank you, Councilor Barak.
February 25th was volunteered to Gibbons School for the pierogi lunch, along with Councillor Longstaff and Councillor Curry. February 27th, I attended the AB Muni webinar report on Alberta's 2026 budget. February 27th was the Northern Lights Library Board meeting. March 3rd was the Library Board meeting. March 6th was the Alberta Industrial Heartland Association Board meeting. And March 9th was the meeting of the Library Board in the town of Gibbons.
You should share some of those with your counterpart down there. Give them some extra work. Councilor Longstaff.
He's talking to you, Robert.
Well, I was nowhere near as busy as Councilor Barak, apparently. 25th of February, I was at Gibbons School for their pierogi day, and I can't remember the last time I cooked so many pierogies. But the kids seemed to enjoy it, and I had a great time helping out. Non-committee stuff, today I took part with the interview with the St. Albert Gazette, and earlier before the council meeting we had our Municipal Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you. Councillor St. Germain.
26th of February, I had my Homeland Housing Board meeting. March 5th at the Youth Center, I participated in the Women's Day event for the girls at the youth group. It was amazing fun. And then this morning I was also partook in the St. Albert Gazette interview.
Excellent, thank you. And for myself, had a quiet 2 weeks and I had no committees to attend this time. Yeah.
Darryl, you want to give some up?
That's it. Do you need that as information?
Camera's frozen.
Can we get a motion to accept the committee reports as information?
I'll
Councillor
make that.
Swanowitz. Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
Councillor St. Germain.
I'll make the motion to accept this information.
We're gonna get this all read.
All those in favor? So carried. Correspondence 14.1. Town of Gibbons viability matters with Sturgeon County. From Mayor, Sturgeon County Mayor Nachu. This is on the agenda package online.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so no need to read the whole thing. But I don't need anything for that to accept that as information.
Just accept his, correct, Your Honor, just to accept his information.
Can I get a motion that we accept the correspondence from Sturgeon County as information? Councilor Smonowitz.
I so move that we accept the correspondence letters on file.
All those in favor? So carried. All right, Councilor Longstaff, 15.1, community services
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that council direct administration to bring forward a request for decision regarding the reestablishment of Community Services Advisory Committee pending the outcome of the viability review.
So council, just to remind you, these are notices of motion. They're just read into the minutes. That's it. They are not debatable. They will come forward at the next regular meeting of council, okay?
And just a motion to accept it, correct?
No motion. He just reads that motion into the minutes. That's your notice that it's going to be coming up for discussion at the next meeting.
And the second one, motion to council direct administration to bring forward a plan for a public open house to gather community feedback regarding a potential urban hen program for council's review and approval.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Broncos.
Call a recess at 20:10 for 10 minutes, and then we'll be going into closed session.
Okay.
Call the meeting back to order. Do we have an addition?
I think, yes, Mr. DeHamo has requested that council add 16.2 intermunicipal relations covered under access to information section 26, which is disclosure harmful to intergovernmental relations, and section 29, advice from officials.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to go into closed session, please?
If I may, Chris, is there one personnel I think I asked as well?
There is, so yes, council.
16.1, yes.
So yeah, whoever makes the motion is going to need to quote both of those, 16.1, 16.2, including the access to information exceptions that you're allowed to go into closed session with.
Can I get a motion for that? Go into closed session. Okay, so Personnel Access to Information Act, Section 20, 29, and 32, and 16.2 intergovernmental, yeah. Sections 26 and 29. Council on staff.
Yeah, I'll make that motion that we go into closed session under sections 20, 29, 32, 26, and 29 of the Access to Information Act.
All those in favor? So carried.
Okay,
And can I get a motion to add 16.2, intergovernmental
relations
relations under section 26 and 29
to the agenda.
to the agenda?
Sure, I'll make that motion in your words.
All those in favor? So carried. Could I get a motion on motion 1, please? Okay, you need to write it down. That we accept the discussion around personnel as information.
And to incorporate it into the suggestions into the 2026 budget.
Oh, so you're making 2 into 1? Okay, yes, and to incorporate the decisions into the 2026 budget.
Thank you, Rick. I'll make that motion.
You guys are gonna regret it, I'm telling you. And that we direct administration to arrange a meeting as discussed.
For
With
16.2.
16.2.
Yeah. We are open.
Yeah, I won't say it.
Just to arrange the meeting as discussed.
Arrange the meeting as discussed. Thought I had written down.
I'll make the motion to arrange the meeting as discussed.
All in favor? So carried. Seeing nothing, no other business,